Okay, now I never thought I would say this, but this video is going to have spoilers for the most recent season of Riverdale. I think. I genuinely don't know, actually.
That's it. That's my intro.
Hi, I'm Amanda and you're watching Swell Entertainment, and I love talking about scams. There's just something about them that just gets me so excited, so involved. I'm like, ooh, what's going on? Why did they do this? Who did this? And I'm intrigued, okay? I don't want to pull off scams. I'm just intrigued by the minds of scammers. And sometimes I find scams that are like really dumb, but then also cause like a lot of problems, or if they had been done with more malicious intent, could have been way worse. And I think that's what this was. It is once again raining in LA, so I'm in my cozy clothes, but luckily this time I have power, so that's good. I also have bangs again, but that's unrelated. The setup is a work in progress. You guys are gonna miss the doorknob, yes, but now you have an electrical box that I get to figure out how to cover, and possibly a thermostat I get to cover. But today, the scam we are talking about, it's not even a successful scam, mostly because it was figured out, but I mean, they made it all the way to the 17.com website. So pretty successful. Today we are talking about how someone impersonated one of the leads of the show Riverdale, actress Lili Reinhart, for the purpose of trying to make their ship canon, or, because there is some debate, to piss off the rival ship of their ship. Oh my god, I love the internet. But this is absurd. This is not a harmless scam, okay? And it wasn't technically a successful scam, it was figured out, but the article was posted and we're gonna talk about how this all unfolded. But impersonating a celebrity, even if they're not saying anything bad, and the fact that this was even able to be done is messed up. Before I talk more about the scam, let me explain what happened, or what my understanding of the events unfolding are, because it happened and then I found out about it. So let me explain what I found. So I believe the premise for what led to this is that at the end of season 4 of Riverdale, okay, Betty, who is played by Lili Reinhart, and Archie, okay, who is played by KJ Apa, is that his name? I think that's how he pronounce. I don't watch the show. I got bored after season 1, and then it got insane, and I don't want to keep up with the show. I just don't. Apparently, they kissed at the end of season 4. So the article was talking about a possible scene from season 5. So the main players in this game are 17 Magazine, Lili Reinhart, the Lili Reinhart impersonator who may or may not have been a Barchi stan, aka Betty and Archie, okay? And then Bughead stans, or Betty and Jughead. And Jughead is played by Cole Sprouse, and Betty and Jughead have been dating in the show off and on, I believe, for like a couple of seasons now. I guess they broke up. I'm getting third-hand information here, guys. If I get details about the actual show Riverdale wrong, if you want to correct me in the comments section, feel free to. I appreciate the engagement. I cannot find the article. Apparently it was not up for very long. Apparently people originally didn't believe that the article was real because no one was able to screenshot it prior to the article getting taken down, but there is one screenshot from at least one paragraph that I think is the angry one, or at least the portion that people are upset about. So allegedly the article that was posted on 17.com was actually supposed to be an interview with Lili Reinhart, who we now know it was not her. She was talking about the season 5 of Riverdale and how they were getting ready to film. Here's the paragraph that's the only one I can find that's been screenshotted, and supposedly this is the one that caused all of the stir amongst Barchi and Bughead stans. Again, I can't prove that this is from the article, but based on everything that I'm seeing on Twitter and stuff, it seems like this was in fact the paragraph that pissed off the most people. Lili even gave 17 a little teaser of what's to come in Barchi's future, and it sounds like it's going to be intense. There is a very emotional scene we are shooting in February, and both KJ and I are looking forward to working on it. Now, some of you are thinking, that's not a big deal. Yes, but when you have fandoms involved, and I don't know if you guys have seen, let's see, I think Team Jacob and Team Edward, but worse. That's my understanding. Paragraph is essentially confirming that yes, they are in fact going to dive into the Barchi story, and they are in fact going to pursue this storyline of them being together. Barchi stans were excited, okay, Bughead stans were pissed off, okay? Now, we're not entirely sure if it was a Barchi stan or a Bughead stan that made the fake post. And as far as I can see, they haven't found who did it or pulled it off at all. But the good news is that it looks like no one got fired at 17. according to Dumois, which we will talk about in a second. The article was posted and then taken down very quickly. 17 magazine put this on their Instagram and on Twitter. Today we briefly published a story with information we were led to believe was from Lili Reinhart. However, it was brought to our attention that the person who contacted us was, in fact, an impersonator and had no connection to the Riverdale star. We want to sincerely apologize to Lili and her fans for this unfortunate situation. We reacted swiftly by removing the story from our site and regret the erroneous reporting. We take full responsibility and will be internally reviewing our editorial and fact-checking processes to ensure something like this does not happen again. 17 magazine was not the only person that was reached out to. Apparently multiple publications reached out with this information, or at least was contacted by the publicist of Lili Reinhart and Lili Reinhart herself. I like how I keep saying her full name. I'm sorry, Lili. Lucas Hill Paul is a UK journalist who also apparently was reached out to and also published something from this impersonator. It's been brought to my attention that the interview I shared with Lili Reinhart was fake and someone has been impersonating Lili and her publicist. Obviously, I'm embarrassed and quite disturbed and sincerely apologize to anyone who was misled by the article. Unfortunately, I am tweeting at 3 a.m. in the UK and the story can't be pulled until we go through the correct legal procedure. I can assure you I will do my best to ensure the matter is resolved as soon as possible though. Thanks for all your kind words. It's clearly been a strange day for Riverdale fans, and I can only hope my apology eventually reaches Lili herself. I am very sorry someone thought to do this to her, but it's clear they're in a tiny minority of those who just want to watch a fun show. So I believe if you go to the actual 17 post, in the replies, people were, what's the word? Just standing Bughead content. Bughead exes to lovers and Lili Reinhart are Bughead warrior, so true. Bughead endgame period. Anyways, Bughead exes to lovers, endgame agenda stays superior. Bughead endgame, Bughead and Varchi endgame. Varchi is Veronica and Archie, by the way, for those of you that aren't hip with the lingo, as if I am. There are some people who are like worried and, you know, like, why are people so desperate that they want to impersonate Lili? So allegedly there was also a fake casting call for something, because apparently there's a time jump, or it ends with a time jump, like a fake casting call for like their kid or something. I'm not understanding the fake casting call. People keep saying fake casting call, but I'm not seeing any screenshots of the actual casting call. So let me read this. This is from Barchi Daily, okay, who is obviously Betty and Archie fan account. Someone really went to all the effort to create fake DMs, a fake casting call, a fake design sketch of the new Riverdale set, and posed as Lili Reinhart and her publicist to get interviews. And for what? Like, what did you gain from all of that? True. What did you gain from all of that? I really don't understand the point of the scam, but we'll talk. Someone replied and said, I just can't understand how a magazine the size of 17 didn't realize it wasn't Lili. There was some belief that Lili got death threats over the post on 17 magazine, and that's what led to them finding out. I can't find proof or any other one saying it was just like Twitter accounts being like, 17 posted this, and it's like, but there's no screenshot of 17 posting that about the death threats. I don't think a magazine would do that. I think they would just, you know, post the retraction and be like, this wasn't real, this wasn't Lili, we apologize for any harm that this caused. Like, that's the PR move to do. And then for some bizarre reason, someone impersonated me in an interview with 17. Nothing inappropriate was said, but those were not my words and I wanted to address it. But at the end of the day, real or not, I just want to say, if you are sending angry DMs and death threats to an actor for portraying a character in a ship that you may or may not ship, you're psychotic. Actors typically have no say over what happens to their character's storyline. Barchi Daily also said, how can a magazine as big as 17 get the wrong person? It's not the first time they've interviewed Lili. How do you call someone up for an interview and not realize it's supposedly an impersonator? Something isn't adding up. Fake publicists supposedly contacted 17 magazine and these other publications, and that's where the contact is. But then again, are they just sending quotes? Are they just getting an email like, hi, yes, my name is Lili Reinhart. Here is my CC, it is my publicist. Someone named Blair on Twitter said, so let me get this straight. 17, who does interviews over the phone Zoom, somehow interviewed someone impersonating Lili, even though they've done covers and interviews with her before and know how the process of setting up an interview works. This seems extremely sus. So now here's where Dumois comes in. Dumois is a celebrity gossip news Instagram account, okay? And when I say gossip, I mean gossip. Like, nothing is verified. There's blind items and there's tips and hints like people's coffee orders. I'm vaguely addicted to the account because I'm nosy, but also take everything with a grain of salt, okay? Because nothing is verified. Usually they just post stuff. Some things aren't posted until after they're confirmed, but for the most part, everything is not confirmed and submitted anonymously. Take everything with a grain of salt. Do not take anything as fact, okay? Okay, thank you. Moving on. So I screenshotted this a couple of days ago from Dumois. Does anyone have a contact at 17 that can tell us what happened with the Lili Reinhart impersonator article? Someone emailed a bunch of sites pretending to be Lili, but they were the only one who published the fake statement, then had to make an apology 3 hours later with some poor intern fired. Then someone else submitted to Dumois claiming to be a publicist and said, publicist here, and I wanted to shed some light on fake interviews, the Lili situation. Though I don't know what went wrong with her, it is so easy to create a fake interview. Reporters are not just getting interview requests from the talent's publicist, but from publicists for the show they work on, publicists for the network, publicists for brands, managers, etc. In my 10 years, I have never been asked for proof when conducting an email interview. And sometimes this is how long the chain is. I get an email request, brand publicist, then brand's talent rep, talent's publicist assistant, talent manager assistant, talent. So much room for something to be lost in translation. This was posted the following day on Dumois. And non-pleased, nobody at 17 got fired for the Lili interview. It was an honest mistake by a hardworking writer. So no one got fired that we know of. I don't think they would tell us for real if anyone got fired, but hopefully that anonymous tip is real and no one got fired. My understanding of this comes from actors who have been in movies and their works with publicists, but typically when you're in a project or like a show or a movie, that entity, the show or the movie, has a publicist, okay? And they may do group interviews with you, things for you like, hey, we need you to do this and promote the show. However, for the most part, that's for promoting the show. It's not about you, the actor, okay? So it's a good idea if you're going to be in a big thing or something that you think is going to be a big thing, if you want to build up hype, because half of the time, especially being a new actor, this does not apply to Lili, but I'm just explaining the situation. When you want to build an acting career, it helps to build a name. You want to build your career, build your credits, while building a name for yourself at the same time. A publicist is a great way to help you do that. So if you're in a project and the publicity for the project is going well for you, it might be a good idea for you to also get your own publicist so they can promote you and the fact that you're going to be in the show and not just, hey, here's this show I'm in, okay? That's where you can have multiple publicists and why there might be multiple chains of connection. But this is still weird. I do want to read the email. 17 will never post it because then it's like, hey, we're spreading more disinformation, we're spreading more impersonated intel from this Lili impersonator, and then there could easily be a lawsuit if Lili wanted to sue them. However, if Lili got a copy of the email herself so they could know like, hey, here's how we need to avoid this moving forward, she could post it, I think. If you want to block out any fake information about the season, I just really want to read how this started, because I'm assuming it wasn't just one email. Like, it's not just like, hi, I am Lili Reinhart's publicist. Season 4 just ended. They're about to start filming season 5, and I have an interview request from Lili. Here's some things that she wanted published in an article if you wanted to do that. There's no way. Typically what happens, or my understanding, especially when it's covering media content, okay, like covering media, pop culture, okay, we're covering Riverdale. Let's say I'm writing an article for a website and I'm talking about the upcoming season of the show, and I want to reach out and hopefully get a statement from a couple people on the show. Typically, I would reach out on behalf of 17 magazine or whatever publication I was working with to get those quotes like, hey, we're writing an article about this. Do you have anything you would like to add or anything you would like to say? However, there has to be an entryway for this fake publicist and fake Lili to get involved in this situation here. Please don't accuse me of trying to give people tips on how to scam publications and impersonate celebrities. I'm just trying to break down how I think this may have been able to happen, how I think this was possible. Okay, let's say that for whatever reason someone decides they want to plant a fake story about Lili Reinhart and Barchi in season 5 of Riverdale. Okay, so I think they probably used a TikTok tip that people have been using to try and get submissions for interviews and like the best way to approach interviews for jobs and things like that. Not interviews for celebrities or things like that, but just interviews for jobs, like say at a publication like 17.com, okay? What this impersonator probably did is they went on 17.com, looked at some other articles that have been written about Lili, found said possible writer, went to their possible LinkedIn, found their possible direct email, and then emailed them as Lili's fake new publicist. Hey, I'm just letting you know I'm Lili Reinhart's new publicist. Here's my new contact information. Let me know about any upcoming articles being written about season 5. Lili is so excited to talk about it, and I'm sure we would take any opportunity to talk about season 5 or something like that. Now, the 24-hour news cycle does not exclude online publications. In fact, I think it makes it worse, okay? So I'm assuming the writer replied with, oh my God, yeah, if she has anything she wants to say about season 5 or anything she can say, we we would love to do like an article, I can write something up quickly or something like that. Who fucking knows? So then that's where the email could come through about the statement from Barchi for season 5 and getting ready to film. Now again, we have the possible how, okay? But I don't get the why. It doesn't fully make sense to me. What was possibly going to be achieved with this? Let's say hypothetically, okay, that this is a Bughead stan who did this, okay? Who made this fake impersonated article, okay? Let's say that. Let's say that this is someone who doesn't want Betty and Archie to be endgame, okay? And so in doing this, this is the more sinister option, I guess, okay? Because then it's like potentially hoping for backlash, hoping for Lili Reinhart and KJ Apa to get angry DMs and threats, or worse, having Lili Reinhart get fired for leaking details about season 5 to 17 magazine without like clearance, a slap on the wrist from the CW. Like, could it be that they wanted? But that doesn't fully make sense because then Bughead's not endgame if Lili Reinhart gets booted. Or then in that situation, it could not be a Bughead stan, and it could instead just be someone who doesn't like Lili Reinhart and doesn't like Betty and just wanted her off the show for other sinister reasons. Or, okay, this could be a Barchi stan, and they are trying to make their ship canon, and so they did this to force the canon, hope that the CW sees the positive response and makes it canon. Even then, like, the possibility of Lily getting a slap on the wrist from the CW for leaking information, if any of this was true, we're like, hey, there's nothing being filmed. I don't know what you're talking about. This isn't okay. Who cleared this? Who said you could do this? In conclusion, the article was taken down. I was unable to find any further copy of the article than what was posted. For all we know, there was other emails exchanged like, hey, can we do a Zoom interview? Hey, she can't because of X, Y, or Z. She's too busy because of this. Here's a statement you can publish. You know, it could be something like that, where they did try and get a Zoom interview and then just took the crumb that they were given because time and like, hey, we know people are hungry for season 5 spoilers. But I don't know, comment down below. Would you consider this a successful scam? Not a good scam, not a happy positive thing, but like successful, and like they successfully set out for what they wanted to do. Because if all they wanted was to get this published on 17.com or any publication whatsoever, they pulled it off. They got 2, so they technically pulled it off. They didn't last long, but they were up there. If the other conclusion was like to, you know, just freak out Barchi or Bughead stans, I mean, I think they did that. But again, this could have been bad. You know, like I said, this could have been way worse than what it was. It's not a good scam whatsoever, but was it a successful one is what I want to know from you in the comment section. And that's really gonna be it. Do you watch Riverdale? Are you a Barchi or Bughead stan? Do you hate that I vaguely don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to the show Riverdale itself? Let me know, comment down below. But thank you for watching. Shout out to my patrons. Thank you so much for supporting me on Patreon. If you'd also like to support me on Patreon, that'll be listed down below. If you'd like to follow me on my social media, that'll be all up here. And that's gonna be it. Have a lovely day. Goodbye. Please do not try and get me to watch Riverdale in the comment section of this video. I prefer to not watch it and just watch the out of context clips that get posted on Twitter. Those give me joy. Thank you, Elaine, Allie, Alan, Elise, Alex, Braden, Cameron, Christopher, Chris, Cody, Colton, Crash, PC, Devin, Dirty One, Don, Elliot, Eston, Evan, Feckless, Hopeless, Hollow, Jacare, Jakers, Joe, John M, Jordan, Joseph, Kenny, Kevin, Kim, Kristen, Lex, Lisa, Louise, Manga, Matt O, Matthew S, Mule, The Red, Michael J, Nathaniel, Pat, Bralek, Rob, Robert, Robbie, Sam, Simon, Steph, Natasha, Timothy, Tom, Tyrone, Wendy, Williams, Andre.